Okay, well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Environmental Coffee House. It is great to be here. I am your host, Sandy Shallis, and it looks like we're starting to get a few people, so this is great. Got a busy show tonight. And tonight I'm talking first about the echo chamber. And that's why I called it They Are All Donald Trump, because this whole cabinet, but why are they like this? Why really are they like this? We'll talk about that. And I have a couple of other things I want to talk about, but we're going to talk about the UN speech because as I was working on my show, they were at the UN. He was doing the speech, and I did not know anybody was going to do this. I had no idea. So let me say good evening. I also hope that we are on X and Facebook, certainly. But it's great to see you all. It is. Looney's here and Kim is here moderating. Thank you. And Bella was here earlier. He's moderating also. John for Climate, John Glad, John Schmidt. All the Johns are here. And well, here we go. Actually, it's welcome to the rapture. I'm still here. Oh my. I was not taken up. I wasn't taken up. I'm supposed to be up there, aren't I? I don't know. I don't know. Where are we supposed to be? We're supposed to be the rapture today. Holy shit. They were wrong again. Wrong again. So let me start out with my notes, and then we'll talk about the UN, because actually I could have done my whole show on the UN, but I did work on the cabinet, and basically, well, they are all Donald Trump, and so is MAGA. They're all Donald Trump. They're all him. Okay, and everybody, first I'm going to talk about why they do what they do and why they echo him. They really do. They echo him, and it's disgusting. And the one that really gets me, and you've heard me do this again before, is Tulsi Gabbard. Because she co-sponsored and wrote the Off Fossil Fuels for a Better Futures Act, and there's nothing on the White House page. There's nothing really anywhere anymore. They've scrubbed a lot of stuff. So his cabinet echoes him. And one of the things that happens with these people is this loyalty thing. Trump looks at this personal loyalty over expertise. And we see that with having people like Janine Pirro. I didn't get them all into the graphic, but the thumbnail, the graphic. And by the way, I don't use AI, so it takes me quite a while to make these kind of graphics when I make these for thumbnails. So I that's something I can use this over for other things. If you saw what I did, I took a picture of his mouth. I put his mouth on everybody else's mouth because that's what it is. But it is the personal loyalty, like the Don of the mob. Like he's the Godfather. And he rewards these sycophants. Basically, you can't contradict him. Now, if you think back to the first term, and it's unbelievable to me that he's even there, for a second term. Remember Rex Tillerson? I think it was Rex Tillerson who, even though he was evil, he was the Exxon guy, didn't he call him a fucking moron? I think he did. And then John Kelly and Mattis, people that disagree with him, he then just he berates them, and then but if you survive the orange turd, You got to parrot his talking points, even if they're fake and phony, which we know a lot of it is. Garbage. Garbage in, garbage out. Garbage in, garbage out. And then, the orange turd is very mean. The other day I heard him on a speech. He said how Joe Biden was mean. And that is such projection. That is such projection. I don't know Joe Biden personally, but did he ever come off as mean? It's like Trump puts these attributions that are his own onto others. And that was really something, right? But he will punish dissent, and he does it publicly, and he embarrasses people. They know these people on his cabinet. I don't even know why they would be in his cabinet. I have no idea, but they will be humiliated on his Truth Social when he posts a truth. I have never seen the platform myself. There are other podcasters. Tom Hartman's on it, and Hal Sparks is on it. So they see what happens over there on the truths. I would never be able to stomach it, but he will fire them. So it's his narrative. And a lot of people want to say it's Stephen Miller running the White House, but, running the show in the back. I'm not sure so much. And he loves that echo chamber effect. They are all Donald Trump. He loves it. He surrounds himself with these yes men, these women. And what gets me is that he's hiring another woman to take over the District of Virginia, the case that he fired the guy that was the prosecutor for not finding dirt on Letitia James and who was it? Comey and Schiff. They didn't find the information because there's none. So he fires that person. He hires this woman. I'm thinking, Pam Bondi, they're all DEI hires. Son of a gun. I thought they didn't believe in DEI, but they're all DEI hires. So he surrounds himself with these people. They're just, they feed him back with his own worldview, which is so perverted and disgusting. And it's not governance, right? Do you think that this is governance? In my opinion, it's cult-like, right? So many other people feel the same way as I do, that it's cult-like. And of course, a lot of them, they're just saying, okay, what's it going to do for me? I'm going to be in his cabinet, so I've got something. I've got something that's going to happen from this. I'm going to get a book deal. Oh, they get a Fox show. And he's hired so many Fox people to be on there. Hegseth. I mean, really, that is one of the worst ones. Hegseth. He is completely not qualified at all. And you could see by what they're doing with these fishing boats. Oh my gosh. And if you didn't hear the whole speech today, I listened to it. It was so nauseating. It was so full of shit. I think people at the UN, definitely the world is laughing at the United States. And it's really sad. It is. But that's his base. So what I want to do is I got to find my notes. About these people. And I have I didn't write them. I told you how I told you. I used to write all my notes on paper, and I'd be, sitting here reading them, but I type them out in notes. And so we're going to talk, and that my favorite person is not Lee Zeldin. And so we're going to talk about the cabinet members, and we're specifically right now going to talk about the ones that maybe believe that climate change is real. Because at the UN, he did talk about it today. And this is an environmental show. So let's look at some of these people through the lens of climate change. Because none of them understand overshoot. I am completely sure. Most of them don't know what it's like to be anywhere other than and I say this all the time, the green grass of a golf course. So Lee Zeldin, which we know we can't stand him, and he had said in his 25, in that confirmation, and he had said that climate change is real, needs to be addressed, but he's not doing anything like that. His voting record, it's mixed. And when he was a congressman, he voted pretty much against environmental measures and any clean energy things. And now I call him the near-term human extinction EPA administrator, because basically everything that he's doing is just going to make things a lot worse. And then I will talk about that later when I talk about the speech that the orange turd gave at the UN, which was just absolutely, I'm telling you, it was hideous. It was hideous. Then there's the Secretary of Energy, Chris Wright. He, he's made a few statements that acknowledge some aspects of climate change, but he calls it a global issue. But of course, like the rest of them, he's totally skeptical of the severity, and he's denied that there's any kind of crisis. And I'm going to show you a video that totally shows you that there is a crisis. And his comments, are terrible. And so Chris Wright, he's a skeptic. And then there are, let me find the rest of my notes. Oh, there's good old Doug Burgum, the Secretary of Interior. We thought the one in the first one was bad. Oh my God. This guy, he acknowledges them, but when he was governor, he promoted wind power, but oh boy, he can't say that now. Trump hates it. He hates it. But he shifted everything because he has to kiss the ass. He has to be an ass-licking toady like all of them. He has to. And then, of course, there is good old RFK Jr. and the Tylenol thing. I won't even get into that, but my God, he was an environmental activist. And he says that it is climate change is existential, but, he's an asshole. And there's nothing that said that, and he couldn't even pronounce acetaminophen. That was really insane, right? When he said that. That Tylenol causes autism, which means that all other research will probably not be funded into autism, which nobody really 100% knows what causes it. And I'd like to see the research of the statistics of really how much Tylenol do women use when they're pregnant that would actually cause autism. But anyway, that's not what this show is about. This show is about these ass-licking toadies that are just hideous. But they are all Donald Trump. They are all Donald Trump. They might as well have Donald Trump's mouth smacked right on their own. Now there's Marco Rubio. Jeez. He's the Secretary of State. And you'd think because he is the one that does travel, he's the one that goes around to all these different countries, you'd think that he would understand. And he certainly isn't a climate action person. He focuses on energy security, geopolitics. But what's going on with him? He's just not, he's not there. And then Scott Bessent, he said the World Bank and the IMF and the Treasury devote disproportionate time to climate, and he blocked and closed climate advisory panels. So he said it's very low, very low. And I can't stand him either. I really can't. But he might accept a little of it, but he totally downplays the financial urgency, which at COP, that it's really, they talk about the financing and helping the smaller countries which are really adversely affected. And the United States is not going to pony up any money. Then there's JD, the hillbilly, And he called climate science a while back weird science. Do you remember that? And he says green energy is a fantasy. Okay. There are a lot of people that feel that green energy is a fantasy and that renewables are never going to solve anything. Fine. I understand that. And I understand the the skeptic nature of all this. But they're not accepting that we are getting hotter. They make fun of CO2. They make fun of all of it. Brooke Rollins, Secretary of Agriculture. How does this person not know? Calling it climate hysteria, rolling back the Biden era climate smart programs at the USDA, and is a climate denier completely. And the League of Conservation Voters did a piece on this person. How are you so ignorant? I talked about Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, who is just a creep. He wants to end any Pentagon efforts when the Pentagon is one of the most polluting organizations on the planet, the United States Pentagon. They've purged a lot of military climate measures, and he says, oh, no, we're just going to reject it as a defense policy priority. I mean, they're just awful. They're really bad. So while maybe a few of them, I'm not going to go through all of them because I really want to get into the UN piece. But if you think about this, what does it mean for any policies coming over in the future, for anything in this country? Well, maybe like Tulsi Gabbard in the past. She doesn't talk about it much. National security? Isn't she national security? Off fossil fuels for a better future act? Bunch of shit if I say. They don't want any regulation funding, or they don't even want to recognize it. They just want to push energy dominance and fossil fuels, and they don't talk about ever-ending subsidies. And it's, why do we even pay federal taxes? It's pretty bad. And I've talked about this how many times about the EPA endangerment finding. Just goodbye. It's a coordinated effort. They just say, okay, climate, and by virtue of that fact, environment is just, yeah, really bad. All right. So there's, let me see. I guess I did pull up Pam Bondi, but she's not, she is the Attorney General. I mean, if there were cases, she's probably going to nix them. She's not known as any kind of climate policy person, but I don't think that she would be too friendly to any of these cases. And then there's, oh God, Howard Lutnick. Howard Licknuts, who, another one I can't stand. He is one of the worst Trump ass-licking toadies there is. It's like you see the admiration when he looks at Donald Trump. What the fuck is he looking at? What's wrong with him? Another billionaire. He has nothing. There's like not even a public record, I don't think. Just make the money. All of them pretty much. Scott Turner, who's housing and urban development. No, there's not, very limited. And that's another thing. When you're the housing and urban development, as each city gets hotter, especially cities and even rural America, and homes, where people live, they need to have their systems retrofitted for ever heating environments around them. And people are going to need help. There's not going to be that help. And Orange Turd today said something about air conditioning, but no, he didn't mention it in that the cities are heating up, or people need to have air conditioning in their homes because of the heat. No, he was just meaning about that people can't get air conditioning because, what did he say? Because of maybe it was, I don't remember specifically what it was, but it certainly wasn't because of climate change. He had mentioned nothing, absolutely nothing. And then there's Secretary of Education. She's an idiot, Linda McMahon. So woefully not a person that should be the Secretary of Education. But she's probably one of those that's really cheering on the White House having the thing on the White House lawn, the box. Oh God, what's it called? The mixed martial arts people out there beating the shit out of each other. Linda McMahon, but she's terrible. And one of the things that'll happen in schools, that's happening probably, is that there will be nothing on the climate crisis. Children in the United States are going to be so underprepared for any of this what's coming in the future, completely. And then Doug Collins from the Veterans Affairs, forget it too. And veteran issues, I think they go hand in hand, because our active military are in around the world, and they're going to suffer. They probably are suffering. Remember who was in, they want to get the base back in Afghanistan, a really hot country that is definitely suffering and will suffer the effects of heating and warming. So these people, it's just very sad, but sad. But I really do want to move. I really want to move on to onto the UN. So I'm going to start. I'm going to find my notes, but I'm going to start, and I want to show you the. All right, wait a second. I want to show you the video, and then we'll look at what he said. Countries closing the borders and expelling foreigners. He's such a racist piece of shit. I can't stand him. Let me set this up, and then we're going to look at this. Okay, we're going to look at a video from... Whoop! One of these days I'm going to sit here and I'm going to set up my stream deck so this doesn't happen. We're going to look at Volcaholic. And I really want to give thanks to X, Volcaholic, who has a really good thread on X. She has a good she's great. She's really great. Really great. So hang on. We're going to watch this. Sit back. This is the world that the orange turd doesn't know, or doesn't care to know, or doesn't talk about. Nope. Yeah.
No.
It's not a good.
Whoa! What? Where's Viv? Where's Viv?
Tírense al agua.
James, you alright, bro?
Dios bendito, Dios bendito.
Unbelievable. This is the whole world. How does Marco Rubio not know that this is going on? Donald Trump, it's easy to believe because he's a fucking asshole, okay? He really doesn't care. Everywhere is being touched in the world. You see the graphic that's up here. We've hit 1.6 CO2 global warming I can't even, I'm so upset. I need a minute. All right, let me change over to my other screen so we can go through some other things I have. And we're going to take a look at a couple of other things that I think are important to look at. Really important to look at. Okay. So, again, I will talk about this one because it is just insane that she is where she is. When she led off on the act to end America's reliance on fossil fuels and transition the country to a clean energy economy by 2035. What in the hell? Right? All right. So, the Guardian covered it, and he said, your countries are being ruined. They're being ruined. Oh my God. Your countries are being ruined. Yeah. He said, you're destroying your heritage by allowing migration. Doesn't understand, why are people migrating from the countries that they're coming from? Why isn't this administration looking at the issues in these countries that are making people want to leave? They can't grow food. Too hot. Sea level rise. Just so many things besides just wanting to come to the United States because they think Donald Trump is so great. He's such a clown. He really is. He took the stage at the United Nations General Assembly Hall for the first time in 6 years, and he did. He assaulted the UN. He described them as feckless, corrupt, and pernicious global force that should follow the example of his own leadership. All he did was bitch. The escalator froze when happened to have a problem, a mechanical problem when he got on it, was fixed right away. Okay. And then the teleprompter had a problem when he got up there. Maybe he wasn't the only one, but he bitched and moaned about those two things like royalty. Oh my God, how dare you? It was an inflammatory speech for sure. The 80th anniversary of the founding of the United Nations, he called for countries to close their borders, expel. And he called it, the UN saying, it's a globalist migration agenda. And he said that the world body was funding an assault on your countries. He really did make himself look like an idiot. The whole world is laughing at this fucker. They really are. You have to end it. Your countries are going to hell, he said. He was directly addressing the European leaders in contentious terms. Oh, you're destroying your heritage. Misplaced political correctness. And then, of course, he attacked green energy and, saying it's redistributing manufacturing power from the developed world to polluting countries that break the rules and are making a fortune because, it's all about money. Let me go down. He said the speech was an appeal to European leaders to embrace a blood and soil nationalism in which Trump laid out the recent U.S. assault on immigration as a model. Yeah, let's just disappear people. Let's model after the U.S. and all become fascist and authoritarian. No, that's not what they're going to do. And he did signal out. Oh, he says he loves Europe. Yeah. But he signaled out Sadiq Khan, the first Muslim mayor of a Western capital. He looks at London, he says, where you have a terrible mayor. And it's changed. It's been so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law. Who says that? Well, did he ever say, well, geez, United States, they're going to Christian Sharia law? Fuck. I'm telling you, it was just so embarrassing, calling it a con job, and that countries are on the brink of destruction. It's the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world. And all the predictions made by the United Nations and many others for bad reasons are wrong. So he's putting down Europe, he's putting down scientists, he's putting down everyone but him, because as he says, he knows everything and he's always right. He's always right. What a narcissistic piece of shit. Yep. I don't even want to go through that one anymore. I do want to say that maybe he should take a look at Elliot Jacobson's graph. For those keeping track and who isn't, the planet is now at day 3 of 1.65 above the 1850-1900 pre-industrial baseline. Do you even think the orange turd knows what that is? Well, mainstream media sells outrage 24/7, which is true, and I fall for it, and I do shows on it. I'm guilty, Elliot. With Kimmel, Tylenol, Putin, Israel, collapse, dust doesn't make the cut. No. And do folks care about the end of everything anymore? No. No. So there it is. There it is. And I do want to show you, this was funny. Hugo made a comment right after it. We're all on Blue Sky. There's a bunch of us that are on similar threads. Hope. I mean, it's not really funny. It's just that there's some humor. There is. But really, people don't. They don't care. And then on X, and he's a friend on Facebook. He's got a Facebook page, Matthew Todd, award-winning writer, straitjacket, and essential read for every gay person on the planet. Elton John said that. Matthew Todd, I love you. Matthew Todd, I just love you. He says, I'm sick to death on September 22nd of posting these, while almost no mainstream journalists or broadcasters express alarm or urgency. We are in such unimaginable danger. The media barely reports that 2024 is the hottest year recorded on Earth. The public are woefully underinformed, and Volcaholic is wonderful. I asked her for permission to use her material. She's great, and she's of course says yes. He says, in 1 hour. He said this an hour ago. The collapse of civilizations on the horizon. David Attenborough. You would never, ever hear this coming out of any of those assholes' mouths that are on the cabinet in the United States government. You won't hear it. They will not talk about what's happening here in India. They're not going to talk about the fire department confirmed at least 14 deaths after flooding caused by the overflow of a landslide formed lake along the Matayan Creek in Guangfu Township in Taiwan. I mean, look at these things. All over the world. How does Marco Rubio not know about this? How? He does. But he's loyal. He's loyal. Trump is undermining the I love you, Matthew Todd. Thank you for this. Trump is undermining the fabric of society, science, school, education, the entire world, by telling us that climate change is a con, when it's simply basic physics and people can see it with their own eyes now, all for his oil, coal, and gas industry donors. Remember this? I had used that in a graphic. Yep, flood carnage hits Spain. It's quite bad as hoaxes go, this climate change. Donald Trump. Record-breaking rain. That was in October 2024 in Spain. We've talked about all of this. All of it. Trump. Climate change is the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world. It's disgusting. And of course, we can't stand him. Romsdorf. 5 hours ago, Trump spreading fossil fuel propaganda lies at the UN. The credibility of the U.S. is in free fall. Yep. in free fall. Let's look at this. Can you see it? Observe changes in climate over the last 24 years. So we look at it, just like Jennifer and I always said, up, up and away, up and away, invention of the steam engine and global temperature relative to pre-industrial. There we go. Up and away. Yeah. Yeah. President Trump said, Zeke Housefather. In a UN speech, President Trump said that all of these predictions were wrong. Back in 2019, I led a research effort to digitize old climate model projections and assess how well they did. Well, let's see. I guess they did okay, huh? I guess they did okay. Boy. In Robsdorf, I like him, and we've talked about him before. He's pretty terrific. So everybody that is in the community, in the climate community, is very upset over this shit. Really bad. Really, really bad. Fires ravaged London as the UK records hottest day in history. And it's quite bad as hoaxes go, this climate change. Donald Trump. Yeah. So he's very upset. He really is. The greatest con job ever. He just lied. Yep. And of course, Reuters is covering it, and they covered it with telling the UN that climate change is the greatest con job. LA Times. We're going to go on. That's the last part of the show. Is we're going to talk about that report that the deniers did. So hang on, let me go. I want to go back here because I have another video, and we're going to, I hate to do this to you, but we're going to watch it. We're going to watch it. You've got to watch it. Sorry, it's part of the show.
They said global warming will kill the world, but then it started getting cooler, so now they could just call it climate change, because that way they can't miss. It's climate change, because if it goes higher or lower, whatever the hell happens, there's climate change. It's the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world, in my opinion. Climate change, no matter what happens, you're involved in that. No more global warming, no more global cooling, all of these predictions made by the United Nations and many others, often for bad reasons, were wrong. They were made by stupid people that have cost their countries fortunes and given those same countries no chance for success. If you don't get away from this green scam, your country is going to fail. And they said global.
Your country's going to fail. And yeah, pretty bad. Pretty bad. We are. This cartoon, and I'll have to put the attribute in the show notes who it was by, because it's not big enough for me. But this is exactly what's happening. The whole world is laughing at this, at us. Absolutely. Yep. Abso-fucking-lutely, I'm putting this up here. Thank you, Dory. Yep. That's how I feel. It's so sad. It is really sad. How long have we been doing this? And this is what he does. This is what he does. And I got another one. Hang on.
Our commitment, values.
There's a reason why I'm playing this.
And those values, really, that we hold so dear together. Let us defend free speech and free expression. Let us protect religious liberty, including for the most persecuted religion on the planet today. It's called Christianity. And let us safeguard our sovereignty and cherish qualities that have made each of our nations so special, incredible, and extraordinary.
The most persecuted religion on the planet is Christianity. That is a joke. And then he has the actual nerve to say that they want to preserve free speech while he wants to direct free speech and take it away in the United States and just destroy. I mean, like, what the fuck? All right. Yeah, welcome to the rapture. So, I've got to read something that I caught that somebody wrote, and I'm going to read it to you. It's by the Cheddar Dispatch. Never saw them before, but it's when pride leads to public humiliation. The President of the United States stood at the UN today and told Europe it's destroying itself. He mocked green energy as a scam. He called climate scientists stupid. He shamed nations for protecting immigrants. The room went cold. America was humiliated. Trump turned the world stage into a campaign rally. He boasted about tariffs that have tanked our trade relationships. He bragged that NATO is weak without him, while NATO forces are literally defending Europe from Russian drones. He insulted our allies with that smug grin of a man who thinks that his bullying is strength. This is not leadership. It's spectacle. He lied about America's economy, and he did. I watched it. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? He lied about foreign policy wins. He lied about his own record. While the world pleads for unity in the face of war and climate disaster, Trump served up self-congratulation and playground insults. Europe did not laugh with him. They stared. Some rolled their eyes. Others whispered to their neighbors. The man who claims to be the defender of the West looked like a drunk wedding guest who grabbed the microphone and would not let go. Humiliation is the price we now pay for Trump's pride. Every American who believes in dignity and truth felt it. This is not about the left or right. It's about a nation made small by the ego of one man. And, of course, no recognition of the Palestinian state, green climate change as a whole, green energy drop, drill, baby, drill, and clean, beautiful coal. You got to do that shit again. He played that record over and over again. They heard a lot of bullshit. And this is from Go Green. Trump's, Go Green, I follow. Trump's deranged speech that man-made climate change does not exist and that scientists are stupid, and he knows more than any scientist, is not only a sick joke but dangerous. We are seeing temperatures not seen in over 120,000 years. CO2 levels not seen since many millions of years. And that's what Elliot was showing with that graph. And I'm going to show you this graphic. Hang on. This is the one. Global temperature variations over the last 2,000 years, and we had this before because there was a graph on X. Invention of the steam engine, and then, you see? Up, up, up. I miss Jennifer. Up, up, up. Right? Fusing information derived from tree rings and other proxies. So it's all very well done science, right? All very well done. Pretty sick. Pretty sick. Yeah. Yep. So we are being laughed at. Well, they are all Donald Trump, his whole cabinet full of idiots. All of them. I don't have respect for any of them. Not one of them. Nope, I don't. And especially, I did want to talk a little bit about the report that the White House put out, right? Okay. But let's just talk about this a little bit. This, I scribbled a few notes on when he literally said the UN was funding migrants with debit cards, which was contributing to immigration. Now, he's so fucked up. There are UN programs that they help people, refugees, humanitarian assistance. Does he know the word humanitarian even? Does he know that word? Does he even know the word? There's no credible evidence that the UN is intentionally funding an assault of migrants to the U.S. via debit cards in the way Trump implies. It conflates humanitarian aid with facilitating illegal migration. It is misleading. And he said that they've been wrong. The climate predictions were wrong. We know that the early models weren't perfect. They weren't. But they've been fixed. The overwhelming consensus among climate scientists is that climate change is real, human-driven, accelerating, and already producing measuring harm. We've seen it. Rising seas, the Arctic, more frequent intense storms, wildfires, and he dismisses it as a con job. That is a slap in the entire world's face. Saying all the predictions are wrong. Simply false. Simply false. How is this happening? How is this real? He's ended 7 wars. Okay. So he's been involved in a little diplomacy. Trying, right? But these wars, they're ongoing. And they're not resolved. And what counts as ended for him? Some of these conflicts they're fragile. They're disputed. They have tensions. They haven't fully ceased. Does he deserve a Nobel Prize? The narcissist in chief? And why does he even believe what he says? Why do you think he believes what he says? Because he's surrounded by an echo chamber. It's a feedback loop. You know how we talk about feedback loops? We talk about them in science, the feedback loops. Well, he's got a feedback loop. He's got Fox News. He's got advisors. They reinforce everything. Nobody gives him empirical data. Nobody gives him what's really happening. So they believe it, and he believes it. And he loves these statements. They to energize his base, right? They love that. Okay, hang on a second. I've got to do something and save. Somebody has a question, and I got to save it. And it's hard for me to do this show and look at all the questions and save them. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some of them after. Okay. So, and don't forget to please give me a like. I don't think I have any downs today. I don't think so. But anyway, he makes these statements. He wants to energize the clueless fucking morons in MAGA that follow him. He wants to draw contrasts with the opponents that he hates, which he said, which really was, oh my gosh, when he said that, what a way to bring people together. He wants to appear like a strong man. Strong? By sitting there and as the president of the United States saying he hates his opponents? That wasn't at the UN today. He was pretty subdued at the UN as far as the way he was talking. They probably drugged him. And, even though he bitched about the teleprompter and he says, oh, well, I could do it without it because he's so fucking perfect, right? Then he lies about fuel prices. I wanted to bring this up because I have a propane heater in my basement and I have a propane furnace, which I use for backup because I heat with wood, which isn't great either. And when he made that comment about how everything is coming down, and then I went and I looked at the bill, okay, I got from the propane people that gave me 24.4 gallons I got. And it was $129 for 24 gallons, which comes to $5.31 a gallon. Okay, that's really cheap. So I look back at 2021, it was $2.66 a gallon. And I remember when it was $1.99 a gallon. So it's just been going up and up and up. He is a liar. The liar in chief. He's such a piece of shit. I'm so worked up because I can't stand it. And we have to do 3 more years of this, 3+ years of this shit. Selective evidence, He can point to like some examples, like countries struggling, migrants in bad condition, just some failed climate predictions. And he generalizes then. He just runs the bullshit and he generalizes. And he, framing everything as an existential threat, immigration, climate, globalism, but he says that That's all exaggerated. It's all bullshit, except for, of course, migration, because he doesn't like anybody that's not white. And he doesn't want to have the policy discussions that are really needed. He doesn't. I can't even imagine what is it like to sit around the table with all of those sycophants and have to listen to him drone on with nothing substantial. I can't even imagine. He has undermined trust in institutions and science, and he's doing it constantly. He calls climate scientists stupid. The UN is always failing. People are less likely to believe then. Well, what people? Because really, when he says smart people don't like him, no, we don't. When he says the country is being run by stupid people, yeah, he's right. That's probably one of the truest things he's ever said. Because his whole bunch of them, Kristi Noem, they're all stupid. Even Pam Bondi, I don't think she's so smart. Ass kisser. Ass kisser. Ass kisser. Yeah. He ended 7 unendable wars. No president, he says, this is a quote, no president or prime minister has ever done anything close to that. It's too bad that I had to do these things instead of the United Nations doing them. United Nations didn't even try to help. Fuck you. Misleading some wars or ongoing. Ugh, God, he's so vague. He's such a narcissist. I'll probably not be able to monetize this video after. I don't monetize during the show because I don't want you guys to get interrupted by commercials, but I do afterwards because I got to run this channel. I got to run my house. Boy. I can't stand him. I didn't even want to look at all of the stuff. Because he's just, it's just so annoying. It really is. So what I want to do, though, is I want to go on to that report to end the show. I want to talk about the report that came out of the White House by John Christie, Judith Curry, and Roy Spencer. John Christie, the first guy. Big deniers. He's a climatologist at the University of Alabama. Well, that tells you everything right there. In Huntsville, and a former member of the U.S. Department of Energy's Climate Working Group. He is known for his criticism of climate models, particularly regarding the discrepancy between satellite-based temperature measurements and model predictions. Christie attributes this gap to overestimates in climate sensitivity to greenhouse gases, suggesting that the models are too sensitive to the increased greenhouse gas effect. But studies have challenged his view, indicating that the main issue lies in incorrect inputs used in the climate model simulations rather than an overestimation of sensitivity. That comes from Skeptical Science. Great publication. Judith Curry, oh God, she's just nauseating. She was the former chair of the School of Earth and Atmospheric Sciences at Georgia Institute of Technology. She totally changed. She shifted from mainstream, and she's totally skeptical. They're all probably paid, by the fossil fuel industry. She argues that natural climate variability plays a significant role, and that the risks associated with climate change, they're often overstated. She's criticized the IPCC, well, we all have, for different reasons. But she perceives as a lack of transparency and downplaying uncertainties. And then there's good old Roy Spencer, the Heartland Institute. And he was a former NASA scientist, is known for his lukewarmer perspective, which acknowledges some human influence on climate change, but asserts that natural factors have a more significant impact, natural, just like with the pandemic, natural immunity. Are we immune from climate change because we're humans? He believes that warming observed is primarily due to the natural variations, changes in cloud cover, rather than, God forbid, human activities. Spencer's been associated with climate skeptic groups funded by fossil fuel raising questions. So that was from facingsouth.org, and the other was from Wikipedia from her. So let me go back and we'll look at a couple of these things, and then we'll do some question and answers. Okay, we're going to go back here. All right. Let me pull this up. Okay, pull it up, and we're going to talk about this from the LA Times. Not scientifically credible. Scientists repudiate the Trump administration climate report, which really was a bunch of garbage bullshit. This was from September 3rd. A group of more than 85 U.S. and international experts publicly rebuked a report from the U.S. Department of Energy that questions the severity of global warming. Do you think the orange turd even looked at it? Do you think he would even understand his own budget deniers report? I doubt it. And who briefed him on it? What a joke. The federal report is biased, error-ridden, and unfit for guiding policy, the researchers said. The Trump administration is leaning on the report as part of its proposal to repeal the endangerment finding. And this is the letter. This is the letter that was written to Chris Wright about this piece of shit report, and on behalf of more than 85 experts who contributed to the climate experts review of the DOE Climate Working Group report. They wrote to submit the comments on it. It was a critical review. The compendium begins with a summary for policymakers that highlights a selection of key points from across the constituent comments. So it's long, but it's really worth taking a look at this. It is. Let's go back to the LA Times. The Trump administration. Oh, yeah, I read that. So anyway, the dozens of world leading researchers they did. It was a very hastily put together report, probably funded by, Exxon Mobil, who knows. And they wrote a 459-page document. 85 scientists denounced that Department of Energy July report. Biased. A piece of shit, really. Garbage. The report fails to adequately represent the current scientific understanding of climate change. The authors include veterans in atmospheric science, physics, ecology, forecast modeling, and several other fields at universities, think tanks, and research institutions in the United States and abroad, which will not be funded, I guarantee you. They won't be funded. Nope. These people, they published it after the White House dismissed more than 400 scientists working on the 6th National Climate Assessment, which makes me sick that we won't have it, and shut down the website that housed the previous assessments. Pretty awful. I'm going to go down here. Okay, so among its controversial conclusions, the Energy Department report determines that carbon dioxide-induced warming might be less damaging economically than commonly believed, and that aggressive mitigation policies such as those designed to curb the use of fossil fuels could prove more detrimental than beneficial. Listen, we cannot keep burning. We all know this. Are renewables the answer? No. I don't think so. But I'd rather have, like I've said before, I'd rather have a battery than propane at $5.31 a gallon. The purpose of the report is to restore an open and transparent dialogue around climate science. The authors of the rebuttal say their report misrepresents evidence, relies on discredited research, and fails to follow the peer review process typically expected of rigorous scientific assessments, among other concerns. So basically, you see that how screwed up everything is, how the United States really can be a joke. 2,400 public comments have been submitted as of this writing through the Federal Register, which I intend to do a show on the Federal Register. I'm going to do it on this space. So teach everybody what that is. And so we all know this. I don't have to go through the rest of it, but he withdrew from the Paris Climate Agreement again. And scientists, in response, the scientists said that basic science of Earth's climate has been well established with decades of research. Decades. But they don't care because it's a hoax. It's a con. It's all to take your money away from you. That's what they say. Yep. Yeah. See, I said this before. Chris Wright, he said climate change is real, but downplayed it. Downplayed it. Yeah. So basically, this is what I wanted to talk about. And Carbon Brief had a phenomenal fact check about the climate report. 100 false or misleading claims. You can take a look. I will be putting everything in the show notes on YouTube. And there's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. So you can go through that too. Yep. But in interest of trying to keep to an hour,
Doing our commitment that
we'll go back here and let me see if I had. Oh, I do actually have something. I wanted to play another video here, but I'm not sure. I do think it's an interesting video. I think it's an interesting video in that it's. Let's take a little break before I come back. Let's watch this video of this guy talking something that the orange turd should see about the other countries. About other countries. It's very important. It's very important. But they don't. And that's why I'm so surprised that Rubio doesn't talk about any of this. But then again, they have to protect themselves, right? Just have to say, this is the kind of material that the people that are Donald Trump should see and should understand. But they don't. They don't. Well, for some reason, Facebook got kicked off, and I checked that there would be no copyright on that video, and there was not. But I don't know what happened. So if you were watching on Facebook and you came over to YouTube, good. I don't know who watches on Facebook. I really don't. So, but I thought that was really good. And I think that is the kind of information that this White House should be talking about and consuming. They should understand what happens in other countries like Guatemala instead of putting these people down and labeling them so negatively as migrants. And why do they want to come here? I wouldn't want to come here. Who would want to come here? Morons are governing America. I wouldn't want them to come here. Anyway, I don't know. I have one more thing to show you because this really pissed me off. When the UN thing, when the escalator issue happened and the teleprompter or whatever, Jesse Waters went on to Fox and he talked. Now, we're talking about free speech. But what is free speech? Is this free speech? When Kimmel gets kicked off, but wait till you hear this. Wait till you hear this. And then we're going to end with you guys, okay? Wait till you hear this.
What's going on with the escalator? What do you think?
Yeah, they sabotaged them.
Yeah.
And they could have hurt the First Lady.
Yeah.
Trump
Oh
would have
my
fallen
God.
and gotten back up. But,
They would have blamed it on his rhetoric.
And then they sabotaged the teleprompter.
Yeah.
I mean, this is an insurrection. And what we need to do is either leave the UN or we need to bomb it. It is in New York, though, right?
Yeah,
There could be some fallout there.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Can you believe that's what he said? That's what he said. So, okay, it's okay for them to talk like that. That is pretty bad. That is pretty insightful. That's pretty messed up. I hope he gets fired, but of course he won't. Neither will the other guy that said, let's just kill the homeless. This is what we're dealing with in the United States of America. Yep. Fox News saying, let's just bomb the UN because it's an insurrection, because the escalator stopped for some whatever reason, happened to correlate when they were walking up it, but there were other people too. You know, there were other people too. So let's see what you guys are talking about, because I'm all worked up and so pissed off at pretty much everything. I have one. How are the cats? I've still got 4 of the kittens, and I bring them upstairs, and they're very sweet, and I don't have any pictures set up or anything like that, but they all have homes. But thanks for asking that. I don't have any super chats to read, but let's see. Keith, all he cares about is his bank account lie to get more and more. Of course, that's what they are. We're already at war. We've been at war for decades. Stairway to the right, another escalator on the left. But really, I mean, I don't know how this guy could say this. How could he say that? Really, how could he say that? White privilege, Sandy, it insulates these clowns from caring, reality, and empathy. It's disgusting. They are disgusting, and they make me sick. They do. And I'm sure that if I do monetize this and they tell me I can't, who cares? Because I feel good about doing this show. These projects do enrich the owner class, though, and there is grifting for sure. Our economic model sucks. Yes, of course, Steph. Yeah. Mr. Trump doesn't need a fact check. He needs to come down to a reality. Oh, my God. Hi, Sticks. You're late, but that's okay. All right. Insurrection, by definition, is from within the UN. It cannot do that to the U.S. It's ridiculous. But Jesse Waters is probably one of the stupid people, one of the stupidest people on Fox. Really. Certainly, the escalator didn't stop due to not enough well-paid workers and avoiding proper maintenance to save money. Oh, certainly. Glory be the bomb, and to the holy fallout, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. Oh my goodness, somebody gave me a super chat. Nadia, the usual thank you. The new right-wing plan to stop away migration is to make the USA so undesirable no one wants to migrate anymore, plus to invade Greenland and Canada. You got a point there. Who the hell wants to come here? And they painted the inside of that border wall black. Why'd they paint the inside black so we can't get out? What's going to happen? Are they now going to start denying visas for people to leave? I happen to know someone who is actually literally selling everything and applying and looking to go to Canada for a job, who has a professional job and will be able to. Yes, thank you, Nadia. Thank you. Join the channel. And we're live. I don't know, maybe I won't go live on Facebook anymore. If everybody comes here and watches, why bother, right? X is different because it's a different crowd. And I think that if I can get through to some people on that platform, since I do have the gifted blue check, it helps. I think. Yep, Ireland. That's where you want to go. I don't blame you. I mean, I'm not leaving. They worshipped. Wait. Brain drain. May even include me. We're all losing it. You have to watch how much you consume. I mean, today I worked on the show. And I was behind on the UN. My show wasn't going to be so much on the UN, but I couldn't help myself because it all came up as I was making the graphic about the cabinet, that they are all Trump. And look at that. Oh, thank you. Well, thank you, sweetheart. Yeah. Oh, fuck, he actually did that. Mm-hmm. He actually does a lot. Yeah. Uh-huh. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only Libby can do that. Or I mean, only love can do that. Aw, see how much we love each other. There's the This Space people here. There's ECH people here. We have such a wonderful crowd. Such a wonderful channel. I'm so grateful that I got my my channel back. You know, I'm not multi-streaming to Twitch because I don't have enough power for all of these platforms. But if I don't do Facebook, maybe I will do Twitch, because there's a younger crowd there, and there are people, maybe I don't think Twitch has a really big environment and climate presence. So maybe I'll do that instead of Facebook. I mean, Facebook, the thing is, it goes live in all the different groups that I share to. And Kelly said he was watching, but he was one of two people. So, you know, what's the point? So much fake AI news, and that was unbelievable. Well, yeah. The UN is about to kick us out, you think? They're in New York. Where are they going to go? I mean, I don't want to see that happen. That would be really, really detrimental to the United States. My whole life, the UN's been something. It's been growing up. You want me to play the elevator clip? Do I have it? Wait, did I have the actual clip? Which one? Jesse Waters, or of them falling up? Or Christianity and free speech, which is Christianity. The rapture was here, and here I am, and here we all are. We weren't raptured. Or maybe they're all gone, and maybe we're still here. I don't know. I don't know. Me too. Wait, where are you? Wait a minute. Oh, me too. Me too. Me too, Carrie. All right. Well, it's been an hour and 15 minutes. I think we've done a pretty good show. I got all worked up because this stuff works me up, but at least I only get worked up a couple days a week. And don't forget, I will be live at 5 p.m. Eastern here and on This Space doing my political coffee house, which I am working on a show for Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget This Space, which is the new progressive. You want information, you want to hear all these progressive podcasters, just go to This Space and you can just listen one after the other, right? And I'm part of that now, and it's really pretty cool. So I just want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you all. I am very, very happy that I did this show, even though it's really upsetting to know that we are the laughing stock of the world because the orange turd is an embarrassment, a liar, a narcissist, ending wars, and should get the Nobel Prize. Forget it. Forget it. If anybody ever did that, I think I would lose faith. Well, I've lost faith in humanity many times, but wow, that would be pretty awful. All right, guys. See you on Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern. And then I don't have a show Saturday night with Tony, but I do next Tuesday. The End of the World Party will be with me. And we're going to do a show on coping and stress and how to deal with all this shit. That's Scott. So he's one of the three Domingos, and I'm really looking forward to that. So we give him a shout out. All right, guys. Let's look at the beautiful sunflowers on the way out, and I will see you on Thursday. Doo-doo. Maybe. I don't know.